everybody. This is En route, and today I have another message for you. So, I wanted to chime in on this whole is it embarrassing to have a boyfriend? And kind of walk through what this whole uh, feature in Vogue was about regarding is it embarrassing to have a boyfriend now? So, I'm gonna read this for you and then make my commentary and let's see what this is about. Okay. If someone so much as says my boyf on social media, they're muted. There's nothing I hate more than following someone for fun, only for their content to become my boyfriendified suddenly. This is probably because for so long it felt like we were living in what one of my favorite substackers calls boyfriend land, a world where women's online identities centered around the lives of their partners, a situation rarely seen reversed. Women were rewarded for their ability to find and keep a man, which with elevated social status and praise. It became even more suffocating when this could be leveraged on social media for engagement. If you were serious enough, I guess, if you were serious enough, financial gain, not really sure what I guess you can monetize relationship stuff. However, more recently, there's been a pronounced shift in the way people showcase their relationship online. Far from fully hard launching romantic partners, straight women are opting for subtler signs, a hand on a steering wheel, clinking glasses at dinner, or the back of someone's head. On a more confusing end, you have faces blurred out of wedding pictures or entire professionally edited photos with the fiance conveniently cropped out of all shots. Women are obscuring their partner's face when they post as if they were to erase the fact that they exist without actually not posting them. So what gives? Are people embarrassed by their boyfriends now? Or is something more complicated going on? To me, it feels like the result of women wanting to straddle two worlds. One where they can receive the social benefits of having a partner, but also not appear so boyfriend obsessed that they come across as quite culturally loserish. They want the prize and celebration of partnership, but understand the norminess of it, says Zoe Zemuzzi, writer and activist. In other words, in an era of widespread hetero fatalism, women don't want to be seen as being all about their man, but they also want the clout that comes with being partnered. Okay. But it's not all about image. When I did a call out on Instagram, plenty of women told me that they were, in fact, superstitious. Some feared the evil eye or belief that a happy relationship would spark jealousy so strong in other people that it could end the relationship. Others were concerned about the relationship ending and then being stuck with the posts. I wish I was in a relationship for 12 years and never once posted him or talked about him online. We broke up recently. I don't think I post a man, says Nikki, 38. Even though I am a romantic, I still feel like men will embarrass me even 12 years in. So claiming them feels so lame. Okay, I'm about halfway through the read, I think, and this is what I have to say just regarding that little tidbit, and we'll move on to the next point. So, from what I've seen so far in this article, is that there's this Wi-Fi signal across the female uh, species, and it's telling women You're just wasting your time and your there's no point in making your relationship a central part of your who you are because men are so emotionally uninvested in a way and to the point of embarrassing their women even when they're 12 years into the relationship. Okay, so I see if it's public embarrassment, that would make sense. I'm not really sure actually the direction that this is going in. So I'm just going to read on some more. I mean, none of these are okay. First of all, regardless of this article or not, it is not embarrassing to have a relationship with a man if he's a good man. It's not embarrassing. It's embarrassing when you get embarrassed, right? Like, but it's not actually embarrassing. Like, people don't think that you're embarrassing because if you're a man or a woman, if someone's doing something bad to you, other people will see them as the cringe in this situation. Even though you feel uncomfortable and you feel embarrassed, or maybe you feel a little bit um self-conscious in the situation, it doesn't mean that having a relationship is embarrassing. It's just that it sucks to be in a crappy relationship. But relationships are important. I do see a lot of women kind of going their own way, if you would, but literally, like, way more. MGTOW, WGTOW, all the towels, I don't know, but everybody's going their own way, which is a shame. But we have to look at society and what is it has exposed people to and what people this generation has grown up with. We were in golden era, the golden era of the porn industry because we got the internet. So it's not like pornos are out there talking, like having videos about loving relationships where two people love each other and they like, you know, it's romantic in some way. It's all just fucked up, unemotional, desensitizing, emotionally stunting as opposed to loving. That's what the porn industry is. So, there lies a huge problem, right? But having a partner, a healthy relationship is not embarrassing. It's not embarrassing at all. But see, the problem is that a lot of people do not realize that a relationship is something that you have to be involved and invested in. And a lot of people don't have the capacity or the readiness to be involved in something so serious, right? So this is why for example, I take my time because you just have to adjust yourself to another person's life and things like that. And jumping into things can cause a lot of dysregulation and can cause you to not really think properly and get involved into something that is not good for you. Because why in my opinion, before I even read on, but I see that there are a lot of emotionally stunted, emotionally unavailable men out here, and they want your body, but they don't want your heart, they don't want your soul, they don't want you. They just want to fuck around, and some of them are just genuinely okay with that. Some people are genuinely okay with never settling down, never actually finding someone like a real companion, a real partner, a real life partner. A lot of people are not equipped to handle that, and a lot of people are too selfish in their ways and in their understanding and their everything, that they won't take the sacrifices it takes to actually have a good, healthy relationship, because it takes work, time, dedication, genuinely loving each other and helping each other and being each other's rock. And if they can't do that, then you're not going to have anything, right? Having a relationship is a lot of hard work. And the reality is most people are not ready to do that, or mentally prepared to do that, because they don't look at partnership. Like, a lot of people give me flack for saying this, but a partnership is like a business. You don't want to go into business with a liability, right? And a lot of us get into relationships with liabilities because, you know, there are some traits or things that they like about this person that they're able to overlook. But eventually, the words will write themselves on the wall. And you just have to cut your losses and leave, because they don't have the capacity to hold what you need and what you're looking for. And so it's also not, a lot of people, men, women, lots of people are not disciplined enough to say, you know what, this is what I want. And if you don't take these boxes off, and then there's a lot of shame put in, oh, you're high maintenance, or you're demanding too much, or you're asking for too much. But when you're getting into a relationship or a life partnership with somebody, it's one of the biggest jobs that anyone's going to ever have in your life. It's the most important job anyone's going to have in your life, and they're going to have the most effect on you, because you guys are biologically, emotionally, mentally, physiology, whatever, all the ways are molding and mending yourselves to each other. And so, obviously, if you do it the wrong way, it doesn't work out. So, there's that. All right. Okay. But there was an overwhelming sense from single and partnered women alike that regardless of the relationship, being with a man was amongst guilty thing to do. On the Delusional Diaries podcast, fronted by two New York based influencers, Haley and Jazz, they discuss whether having a boyfriend is lame now. Why does having a boyfriend feel Republican? Read top comment. Boyfriends are out of style. They won't come back until they start acting right. Read another with thousands of likes. In essence, having a boyfriend typically takes hits on women's aura. As one commenter claimed, funnily enough, both of these hosts have partners, which is something I often see online. Even partnered women will lament men and heterosexuality, partly in solidarity with other women. but also because it is now fundamentally uncool to be a boyfriend girl. It's not just in these women's imaginations. Audience are icked out by seeing too much boyfriend content, myself included. It seems as indicated by my liberal use of the mute button when author and British Vogue contributor Stephanie Yeboah hard launched her boyfriend on social media. She lost hundreds of followers. Even if we were still together, I wouldn't post them here. There's something cringy and embarrassing about constantly posting your partner these days, she tells me. Adding that, there's part of me that would also feel guilty for sharing my partner constantly, especially when we know the dating landscape is really bad at the moment. I wouldn't want to be boastful. Sophie Milliner, a content creator, has experienced people and following her when she shared a romantic relationship. This summer, a boy took me to Sicily. I posted about it on my subscriber section, and people replied saying things like, please don't get a boyfriend. She admits that her content perhaps becomes less exciting when she is in a relationship. Being single gives you the ultimate freedom to say and do what you want. It is absolutely not every woman, but I do notice that we can become more beige and watered down online when in a relationship, myself included. And I would like to say to that, if you're with a partner who makes you um like glow down, if you're with a partner that makes you glow down, you're probably not with the right person because the right person will make you glow up. So this is what I'm saying. It's not about, okay, all in all, men are just evil shitheads and there's nothing we can do about it. Find somebody that makes you glow up because if you get prettier when you're with this guy, that's a good sign, right? That's a really good sign. If you get uglier when you're with this guy, that's a good sign that that's not for you, right? And you know, I know people very few people can change and things, you know, work out later on, but that's very far and few between and then very not likely at all. But if you get if you become less and if you're less creative and you're less active and you're less productive, that's not a good sign. It's not a good sign. From my conversations, one thing is certain, the script is shifting. Being partnered doesn't affirm your womanhood anymore. It is no longer considered an achievement, and if anything, it's become more of a flex to pronounce yourself single. As straight women, we're confronting something that every other sexuality has had to contend with a politicization, a politicalization of our identity. Heterosexuality has long been purposely fully identifiable, so it is harder for those within it and outside of it to critique. However, as our traditional roles begin to crumble, maybe we're being forced to reevaluate our blind allegiance to heterosexuality. Okay, well, that's biolo- biologically, maybe I'm just having an autistic moment, but we can only be aligned to heterosexuality because that's the only way that our species can produce as much as most species. It's the only way that most species can produce, except for plants and, you know, asexual frogs. Okay, we're humans. So heterosexuality is what we are. You know, we can try to divert from this or that, but the only way to continue the species is because of heterosexuality. Um, so anyways, Obviously, there's no shame in falling in love, but there's also no shame in trying and failing to find it, or not trying at all. And as long as we're openly rethinking and criticizing heteronormativity, having a boyfriend will remain somewhat fragile or even a contentious concept with public life. This is also happening alongside a wave of women reclaiming and romanticizing their single life. Where being single was once a cautionary tale, you'll end up a spinster with loads of cats. It is now becoming a desirable, coveted status, another nail in the coffin of centuries old heterosexual fairy tale that never really benefited women to begin with. But, okay, great, that's the end of it. So, I would like to state that while, yes, that heterosexual fairy tale thing was spun out to us, okay? You're the princess, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But what if I want to be the princess? Mhm. Mhm. What's important is that we don't idolize our relationships because idolization is evil. We shouldn't idol anything. And women are just decentering the idea of relationships because, I mean, if we look at the data, men aren't very easy creatures to deal with. And that's for many things, many reasons, but Rome wasn't built in a day. And what I do want to say is that I was watching a guy and he does some stuff. Mm, okay. Hmm. I gotta look at my history. Sorry. Sorry for this long pause delay. Sorry. Oh, and then of course. Ah, okay. So I was listening to Dr. David Hawkins on why men stay boys, the pandemic of emotionally immature men. So Dr. David Hawkins, if you can just look at his stuff, listen to his stuff, read some of his books. I know that there's a lot of men out here that are probably working on themselves emotionally, but with the culture, the sex culture and everything, it's kind of fucked a lot of things up. Men are pretty desensitized now, and a lot of men can just be very, I don't know how to explain it. It's like men are animals, a lot of them. But at the same time, it's really hard to like say that. And this is a comment that David Hawkins was talking about. It's like You can be successful at sports, you can be successful at work, you can be successful in all these areas. You can learn another language, you can do all these things when it comes to sports, but you can't sit down and figure out how to be well-rounded emotionally. And so, so many people are emotionally stunted, and especially men. And it's caused a pandemic of women surpassing men, not just educationally or financially or in whatever way that we have come equal to or surpass men. We also have an emotional depth that outweighs logic and wisdom of men so often, too often, that it makes it hard for women to be led by men. And that's why it's embarrassing, because men, not all men, we always got to make that point, right? Not all men, obviously, but so many men, it's so embarrassing to have to think, oh, is this gonna this like, it's embarrassing being led by a foolish man. And a woman logically seeks to follow someone who is, I wouldn't say smarter than her, but stronger than her, right? And not physically, but in all the other ways too, right? And I guess that's where a lot of it comes down to, is that women have emotionally and mentally and psychologically evolved so much further than men, and men don't even realize the psychological advantage that we're going to have over you in just the next 10 years. And this is the problem, is that if men don't actually fix this, we're going to run ourselves into a very cold, desolate situation where men become unable to fill the void that comes from not ever actually having a real life partner, right? And it happens in so many ways, and so many self-destructive ways, and so many ways that even you wouldn't even really even think of, right? So, yeah, it's a loaded topic. It's a loaded topic. And it's deeper than, oh, it's just so embarrassing to have a boyfriend. It's so much deeper than that. In the next 10 or 20 years, there's going to be such a huge jump psychologically, emotionally, theoretically, all the ways equally, of women over men, that unless men don't start working on that part now, women are going to evolve so much further past you that we might end up living in a society. Sounds crazy, but we might end up living in a society where men are no longer the main role, right? Or like, I don't have the best way to say this, but with especially with advancements like technology, women, if they figure out how to do stuff without a guy, they'll do it, because asking a guy for help sometimes is just like, it complicates things. And I don't know, guys. I don't know where we're going. I don't think it's embarrassing to have a boyfriend, but I think that it's it doesn't really bring out your highest femininity when you're following a fool. So I think that's a lot of the issue, right? We want to be led by a man, just biologically speaking. we take the laws out. Women want to be led by the man. Women like leadership from the man. And if he doesn't take initiative and he isn't intentional and if he's not being present in the relationship, genuinely present, it's 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 hard for her to just follow along for too long. You'll lose her. She'll just fall off the leash. One of that's a horrible analogy, but that's true. We'll just be like, okay, see you later, you know? And men have to actually be able to have the energy, not the energy, but the strength to not stimulate themselves constantly and actually listen to understand. Because so many men they hear what you're saying, they saw that you said something, but they don't know what the hell you just said. And that's a problem, obviously. But yeah, having a boyfriend is having a shitty boyfriend is embarrassing. But you shouldn't feel embarrassed. Like, he's the asshole, right? If he's gonna be embarrassing, he's the asshole. But being in a good, loving relationship with a strong male partner that is able to lead is great. It's awesome, you know? And if you guys like really make it in the long haul, all that stuff, who cares if you post on social media? It's your family, right? So, yeah, that's what I have to say about this. And yeah, so this is en route. Oh, and I got this new camera thing that I'm doing. It's a shitty webcam camera, but I'm trying to figure it out. So yeah, this is en route, and I'm out.